What's up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. OG here, and I want to talk to you about my experience this weekend playing the first showdown of the post-patch Dragonborn season era. So we dominated throughout using my 4-2-3-1 wide tactics that I just recently put out. So this is a perfect opportunity for you to see in-game examples of why those tactics work so well. That is what I'll say the good news of the video. The bad news, which you already know if you watch the stream, is that the game in general is in a very bad spot. Once again, with the patch, UFL overpromised and underdelivered. Now, before I go into that, I want to point out that this isn't best for me personally. And it isn't fun having to talk about so many negatives, both in UFL, eFootball, even in FC when I play FC. But if you don't point out these issues, then you are part of the problem as far as a content creator goes. The whole reason I started this channel is because for years, when I would look for guidance, right, as a competitive FC player, I had to sift through so many nonsense content creators, so much BS, because either they wanted to stay on EA Sports' good side, or they wanted clicks and views, so they didn't want to be negative, so they would literally overlook certain issues, totally ignore certain things, have clickbait videos that didn't end up helping at all. Just so much nonsense that was pure selfishness, similar to these development companies. It was all about money at the end of the day. It was all greed as opposed to for the love of the game, right? It would be a lot better if the development companies created these games to benefit the player base, always. But never is that the reason why they create these games. Everything they do is about getting the players to spend money. So, to that extent, knowing that, we can try to leverage them to give us a good game, knowing we're going to have to spend money, and that's kind of the trade-off. It's unfortunate, but that's how it is. Now, with that being said, these free-to-play games, as they say, no gimmicks, no nothing, completely free-to-play, right, as UFL says, we all know that's BS too. But we can put that aside because all these development companies are like that, right? The problem that UFL has that's even worse than the other companies is that they can't fix the issues in their game. They just had another patch, as we all know. It's number 1 million something. You know, to be honest, I don't really know the exact number, but it's a lot. For being a new game, it's a lot of quote-unquote big patches. And every single time they overpromise and underdeliver. Every single time they actually break something else when they're trying to fix things, right? They go in and they try to fix the finesse shots that are always going in, but then you come back to the game and now there's lob crosses that for some reason are glitched and always go in. They try to fix the lob or the L1 triangle cross the field switch, and then you come back and for some reason the goalkeepers are now saving everything. Like, I'm not being accurate with, you know, the order of these glitches, but I'm being accurate in the fact that there's all of these glitches coming at different times. And the most prominent time that new glitches like really take over the game are after the patches, right? And they come out of nowhere. So the only reason that could be is when they're patching certain things up, they're messing other things up by accident because they aren't seasoned enough, they aren't qualified enough, or don't have enough skill in what they do to really give us a good football game, right? If they did, we wouldn't continue to get these updates where things aren't totally fixed like they said they were going to be. Some things you can't even tell if they even touch them or not, right? For instance, they talk about all these different shooting angles. They talk about better animations defensively. They talked about, oh, the random backwards passes won't happen anymore. But then you go make a pass forwards and it goes left. You go make a pass right and it goes forward. So did they specify that the backward passes were gone because they knew that they couldn't get rid of the other ones? What about every other direction? Right? Those random passes that go in a total opposite direction of where you're trying to pass, why couldn't you remove those too? I mean, that's a huge part of why players are just trying to abuse dribbling with one player and cutting left and right because, yes, you updated your jockeying system, but it's still not good enough to keep up with the attacker. So what good was it? The update didn't do anything to help defensively. And now that passing's worse, players more than ever are abusing just dribbling with one player. And you guys weren't able to provide us, you know, with the answer for that defensively. the defense is still so broken that you can't do anything. You got to use a skill of guessing where the player is going to go and kind of be ready to run into him in that anticipated spot. That's the defensive skill, and you'll be able to see that throughout this video, right? So it's like I explained in the stream. There's skill in understanding where the glitches are at, understanding where the game's broken, and then making up for it in different ways. Like I just said, defensively, anticipating where the player is going to go and sort of start running there so you can essentially run through the player's path and steal the ball. There is no jockeying, right? Faking like you're going to commit to a tackle, seeing which direction the player, then committing. Like, there isn't that, because jockeying can't keep up, especially with another glitch, the L1R2 sprint, right? In the stream, there was a player that it was one of those guys trying to argue the whole time, as if when I was talking about these problems in the game, he was almost like he was taking it personal, like I was talking about him. It's some phenomenon that happens, and I can only imagine it's because a player like that only plays UFL because he can't play eFootball or FC, and so he doesn't want to hear anything negative about the game since that's the game he plays. That's the only thing I could think of why these players can't accept the truth when I'm speaking on the game. I don't want it to be bad. I mean, think about it. The best game as far as viewership goes and clicks and stuff, if I was one of those type of content creators, would be UFL for me. So it does me no good to tell people I wouldn't even play this game if I were you. How does that help me? So if you look at it from that perspective, I have no benefit from telling the truth. But I'm not a piece of crap liar. So even if it doesn't benefit me, I'm going to be honest with you. And that's why I play this game sparingly. And the only reason I even do that is to help those people in my community that still do play this game. So I don't leave them hanging, so that they can use the 4-2-3-1 wide and dominate like I did, so that they can see how to play properly, right? Just in case they want to try to get something out of this game, good football-wise. Because you'll have like 10% of the game where you can pass and move and where you're at that good angle where the through balls aren't broken. And that's just another one. I don't want to go all the way through every pointer because it would get exhausting, right? But through balls is another one. They said they fixed those or tweaked them or whatever their wording was. The through balls are still a joke. You still can only play them at certain angles, right? Because they don't have the ability to manually make the through balls effective. And what I mean by that is this. In the other games, when you're dribbling the ball and then you have an angle or a lane to pass a through ball, you point to where you want the through ball to go, you press triangle, and then it becomes where you pointed on top of how much power you put, and you try to lead your player who's running perfectly. That's the skill in it. Well, for whatever reason, strikers can't do that with their game. And so if you try to play one of those through balls, like say you're straight on, defender's in front of you, but you have that little angle, you could slip your striker through and maybe you could hit a one-time shot. You try to do that in UFL and it locks right onto the defender. And I think it has something to do with, or it seems like it has something to do with the way their pass lock system works, right? It goes straight to the player and they can't change it because that's would mean changing their entire passing system. It's got to be something like that. Otherwise, they would have fixed it, because the through ball is one of the most used passes. And the lob through balls work exactly perfectly, right? If I have a player running in and I want to play it just beyond the defender, I can just barely power it, point in the direction, and the lob through ball will go in that direction. And the skill is in trying to lead on my player perfectly. You can't do that with ground through balls. The only way ground through balls work is that they added an animation. So if you're at that perfect angle where it triggers the animation, that through ball will go, right? It's the same reason why through balls and lob through balls at a certain angle lock your defense up, because it's part of an animation, and that's just one of the issues in the animation, right? There's that lob through ball where no matter what you try to do, your defender just won't catch the attacker. They'll kind of run in behind the attacker, and the attacker runs through. That's all an animation. In eFootball and in FC, when you play through balls or lob through balls, the ball's going to go where you point. So you can manipulate the passes you make and put it just beyond the defender. You can put it any angle you want. You can spin it around the defender. There's so many things you can do, and in UFL, you can't do it. So you'll be dominating games, as you've seen here for the most part. And yes, I'm winning, but it's not playing true football. The way that I'm winning is by dribbling around with that one player, cutting left and right, right? And I'll make some passes and try to build up, but you can't play proper football. You never play this and say, man, that was awesome. What a passing sequence to lead to that goal, right? Those nice through ball goals that your player will run onto and you'll score, that's an animation. That's not really like you doing anything. So if you're wondering why this game feels like that, it's because Strikers isn't able to fix these things. They're not able to change that lack of fluidity feel the game has. Like where you're running with a defender and you're trying to stay in front of an attacker and you just can't do it. No matter what you do, he's cutting left and right and you just can't. The only thing you could try to do is anticipate his next area, like I said earlier, and try to be there so you can intercept the ball. You can't truly defend, meaning jockeying left and right, keeping the player in front of you like you would do in real football. And it's the same when you're attacking, by the way. When you're attacking, the only reason it works out is because the defenders are just even more rigid, right, with their movements. But when you have the ball with an attacker, if you notice, there's not really fluid movements to keep you going. The most fluid movement was the first time pass receive where your player floats. And the reason why that works so well and why people used it is because since the through balls are broken, there's no other way to keep your momentum going. Meaning if you're attacking, right, you're going down, you have numbers going forward, and you're looking to play a player and lead him on so he keeps moving forward, but the through balls are broken, you're screwed. Because once you play to a player's feet, back to goal, you kill your whole momentum and you allow your opponent's defense to recover, right? In football, you want to keep your momentum at times, and so what are you going to do with broken through balls that don't allow you to keep your momentum? Well, you first time fake shot receive, the player would do that floating motion, but he would keep momentum going forward, right? It wasn't as good as having through balls that worked, but it was something. Now you can't even do that, and like I've been saying for months, they needed to remove the floating part that looked unrealistic and replace it with, like, let's say the player took a touch with the outside of his foot and ran with it, or inside of the foot and ran with it, or even let the ball dummy through his legs and ran on. Whatever it was, they needed to keep that fluid motion, especially with broken through balls. And what did they do? They removed the first time fake shot receive, so that floating motion's gone. Good job, except now there's no fluid motion at all. The player just first time fake shots and settles it. And so with that gone and through balls gone, what you're stuck with is players getting the ball, no momentum in the build-up, and they just take the ball with the single player and cut left and right until they can get a shot off. That's it. That's all you have. Now, let's compare to FC's defense, who went full manual and everyone's having a hard time defending. You can still jockey, right, in FC. You always have been able to. But because the attackers are so fast, and because now you can't get AI assistants to come over and steal the ball for you, now a lot of players are having problems with it, including myself. When I went back and did kind of a preview of the game post-patch or post-defense change and all that, oh, it was like learning a new game. I mean, I was getting torn up. But what I learned is as you progress and get better, you can anticipate tackles and intercept the ball, and you still have that realistic feel when you're winning the ball. Like, it really feels like a tussle and then you won the ball. It really feels like you're still properly defending. It's just a lot harder without the AI running over to help you. The AI now barely does anything in FC, even less than UFL. So then you look over at UFL and you look at the difference, and it's that the defenders aren't fluid. They're very rigid. Right? And so even if you say FC's an arcade game, you want to look at eFootball, at least eFootball, right, has terrible defense. It's overpowered, but at least when those players zoom up like heat-seeking missiles, which is the unrealistic part, and go to steal the ball from an attacker, it looks realistic, right? It's not like two rigid players just kind of moving left, right, straight, whatever, until the defender kind of runs into the path the right way and steals the ball. It actually looks like a player making a tackle. The heat-seeking part where they're rushing around like chickens with their heads cut off, that's not realistic defense, but the actual interaction itself is. Not to mention they actually have through balls that work. They actually have good passing options, a variety of different areas in which the game connects and keeps that fluidity going. Whereas UFL, there is no fluidity. The game dies in several different areas, right? There's not this continuous buildup and then the team takes it and they go counter. It's always like a dead ball. The whole momentum of the game ends, and then a player dribble, cut, pass it, momentum dies. Dribble, cut, pass it, the momentum dies. The only momentum you're ever able to keep is from that one through ball at that one angle, right? And it's either going to be A, the glitch through ball that locks up the defense, which is total nonsense, or it's going to be that angled through ball where your player is running through and you do get in on goal, right? So that part is the only good part, but because it's on a animation, it makes the vast majority of your through balls pointless. You literally have to be at that one angle. So what does that mean? Just like players are just dribbling now with one player over and over and over, just like they used to look for the finesse shots from that one area with Ronaldo powered up a certain way, or go for the top corner 3 bars every single time, right? There's no skill in it. There's no change up in it. It's the same way now with passing. Players will dribble around until they get to that one angle, and then they'll play a through ball. So it's not even football anymore. They're not trying to attack. They're not trying to do anything but get to that one area, right? That was always a huge problem with FC when players would go try to get to the one area and finesse. Get to the same area where they could score with the Trivela every time. Do the same corner kick to get the bicycle kick, right, with Hullet. Or if you have Van Dijk, it used to be the near post header every time to get goals. So players would literally do nothing but shoot it to go for corners and then try to do the near post header every time. That's it. No variety, no changing, right? One of the same reasons why FC gets boring, right? There's only one formation, one setup that you can use to abuse these certain mechanics, right? So there's no variety in the game. It's the same exact thing that is happening, but within the gameplay of UFL, meaning there is no like, okay, if you use a 4-2-3-1 wide, you can dominate because of this. If you use the 4-4-2, you can dominate because of this. Or you want to go narrow formation because tiki-taka is a great way to counter the formation everyone's using. There's none of that. The reason why 4-2-3-1 wide is so dominant right now, as I said in stream, is because you can isolate the wing backs with your wingers and beat them one-on-one because attackers have the advantage. Not only that, but you're pulling your opponent out wide, giving more room for your cam and your striker to now isolate the central defenders and beat them, right? So that's why it's working so well. So there is tactics in it. There is strategy in knowing this, but it's not football strategy. It's, hey, this game's broken, so here's the tactics that will beat that broken part of the game. Does that make sense? So you're not looking like, for instance, in football, for as bad as its faults are, when you set up your team, when you go to play, when you make tactical adjustments, you are making them based on football, based on real football, and that's where real football skill can help you get a leg up. And that's how it should be in a football simulator. However, this game is more like try to figure out the most broken things and use those to win. And that's why even going 9-2 with a very early on RTG team that's very low rated isn't fulfilling, right? I don't feel good about it because it wasn't truly football. So we will see where the game goes from here, but I just wanted to explain this so all of you understand, and if you follow the channel, you already get it. But if you don't, I wanted to make sure all of you understand I'm not just being negative for negative's sake. It is about wanting the best for these football games because it offers all of us who love football the best experience playing a football game. It's as simple as that. So, that being said, let me know what you think about the game overall. Do you agree with what I'm saying? Disagree? What's your experience been like? And as always, keep grinding, keep having fun. I will see you on the next one. Peace out.